Hello and welcome to the Courage Coalition. We're on today for another fabulous guest. I can already tell you guys there's going to be some laughter and some big aha moments in this one because we've already made this connection just meeting for the very first time. I am here today with Katie Farinas, and I met her online. That's where I met her. I've never met her in my life. She lives across the United States from me. And I found her profile on LinkedIn and was like, oh, I need to know this person better. all from a tagline, right? And I know now after 5 minutes of chatting with you, Katie, that was truth. That was intuition at its best. So welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much, Corey. Thank you for finding me. Thank you for inviting me. And thank you for being willing to have this conversation.
Yes, absolutely. So I want to introduce Katie just shortly. Katie is a deeply passionate yoga teacher, podcast host, and Dharma coach who is dedicated to helping midlife women reconnect with their true selves. And I think that's probably what got me right there is that is a passion of mine. And you don't hear many people talk about reconnecting with self. And so you tell us a little bit more about you. I don't want to just do the whole bio thing, but you tell us a little bit more about you and what it is and why you feel so passionately about what you bring to the world.
So, well, that's a big question, Corey, but I will do my best to answer that and not take up the entire conversation with just that answer. The long story short, and I think this is so true for so many coaches out there, is that I lost connection to myself and I had to re-find it again. And in that process, I realized how important it was. How important it was for me, to me personally as an individual, and how important it was as a partner and as a parent and as a member of my community and as a member of this human family that we all belong to. And along the way, through my own journeying back to myself, I discovered yoga and the true essence of yoga, not just going to a yoga class and using it for exercise, but the whole system, the science and system of yoga. And in that whole system is one of the very important things that they emphasize and talk about in the philosophy of yoga is your Dharma, which there are many different Dharmas, but there's something called your Sva Dharma, and that is your sacred duty to self. There's many different definitions of Dharma because it's a Sanskrit word, and then of course we can't really use the English language to accurately describe. Like Sanskrit words have big meanings that are hard to exactly translate into English. But one of the closest definitions is your sacred duty to self. And the sacred duty that you have to yourself is to uncover and follow your soul's purpose. So that's another definition of Dharma, is your soul's purpose, or this Sva Dharma specifically. And so it's your sacred duty to self to uncover your soul's purpose for the benefit of yourself and the benefit of the world. So the healing of yourself and the healing of the world. And when I was going through this process myself of trying to come home to myself and really regain a connection to my higher self, to my intuition, to all the things that really mattered to me, when I heard this word and the definition of this word, I was like, oh, light bulb, ding, 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 ding. Like, this is it. Like, I knew there was something missing all along. I knew I felt this empty void. I knew I felt this sensation of like, there has to be something more. This can't be all there is. Like, I had these kind of questions that kept floating around and just nudging me in a direction. But until I understood the concept of Dharma, I didn't know exactly what it was. And then it all made sense. But I had no idea what my Dharma was. So I was like, okay, great. That's exactly what I've been missing. I know that's it. But now how do I uncover it? And I use that word uncover very intentionally, because I could use the word discover, which you could use, but really our Dharma is something that we're born with and it never, ever goes away. Yeah. But what happens is we have a life, we have life experiences, we have our parents and how they impacted us, or our siblings, friends, teachers. We have culture. We have just plain old life experiences that are challenging. We have lots of things that layer on top of this Dharma. And so before we know it, we turn around and we don't know what it is, right? We may have actually been really connected to it as a child, but we come to adulthood and we suddenly have no idea what that is. And if someone said, you have all of the money in the world, you don't have to work another day in your life, what do you want to do? And women are like, I don't know. Right? I mean, what do you really want to do deeply in your heart? Not like, well, I want to buy, have this nice house or buy a nice car or travel a ton, but like, what is going to light your soul on fire? What is going to make you feel like your life has deep meaning and you feel so fulfilled that you don't actually need that many material things because you're so deeply internally fulfilled? And many women and men actually cannot answer that question because it's not something we've ever been trained to be aware of or think about or focus on. And we get so departed from that it's a journey to come back to it.
Oh, I love that you just said that because, well, there's two things here is that I feel like one, when we say the word purpose, because most of us don't use the word Dharma. So when we say the word purpose, we assume that it's this magic answer. This, I found it. And it's just this very clear answer. Lack of a better word, the magic pill, right?
Yes.
But it is a journey, and it's a journey of going back into who you have always been. So when you bring up that, I just want to hug you because we don't find it. We reintroduce ourselves to something that's already there.
Yes.
And the fact that you bring up childhood, I have a story to tell. This is going to help, I think. But also one of the things I think so our beliefs are created when we're very young. And so when we create beliefs based on our 7-8-year-old self, how do we know at that point that this will serve us or not? We don't. We know them because of what you just said. Our family gives them to us, our friends, our society, our culture, they give us our beliefs. And so we don't know what we don't know, and we just take them on as truth.
Yes.
But if we go back to that time, there is so much evidence of our Dharma, of who we are, who we were, or who we were created to be, and how we can bring that into the world today. So I have a story. I was interviewing a childhood friend on the podcast, and we were actually talking about mental health, and it was a beautiful conversation. But what she said to me during that conversation was this aha moment. She goes, Corey, I still remember sitting with you on the playground, on the curb, and you were staring at somebody. And I said, what are you doing, Corey? And you looked at me and you said, she doesn't have any friends. I think we should go talk to her. We should be her friend. And it was just this moment of the connection I've had with the unseen, the children that have been unseen, has been since the day I was born. I've always fought or protected the underdog. And I didn't realize that, right? I didn't realize that until she said that to me. It was such a gift.
Yes. So what you're talking about, and it's such a beautiful example, is that our Dharma, like you, I once believed that if I found my purpose, right, that word purpose, it would be this one singular thing. I would be totally fulfilled once I found it and tie it in a bow, wipe my hands, and I'm done, right? Okay. I was looking for the golden nugget. But it is not that. It is a through line that exists throughout your entire life. And so when we talk about Dharma, we break it into two components. I was a chemistry major in college. So math was like a big deal. Like I did a lot of math growing up. So my brain still goes that way. So I always think about it like an equation. And Dharma equals your essence plus the expression of your essence.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's
right.
beautiful.
So, and that's what you're talking about. So you have this essence inside of you, this, fight for the underdog essence, but the way in which you have probably expressed that throughout your life has varied based on your age, your life circumstances, the amount of time you had, the resources available to you, your mindset, like all of these things influence how you expressed it. But I bet if you take that story and you start thinking about your life moving forward from that moment sitting on the curb, you can identify many, countless, endless ways in which you fought for the underdog, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And in all places, not just outside of the home, but in the home, outside of the home, in the school, in the workplace. It doesn't matter what it is, right? Um, but yeah, so much truth. And it's just that we never give ourselves the gift of curiosity to go back and look at it.
Yes. And so interesting that your friends from the outside could see it so clearly, right? Yeah.
Recently I had, for lack of a better word, and I've talked about it on the podcast before, so listeners will know a blueprint reading, but it really talks about numerology, astrology, human design, all of those things. And again, another gift that I already knew, and I'm going to bring this up for a reason because I want you to talk about something next, but something I already knew, but when someone from the outside reminded me, because that's what I'm going to say, it's just a
Yep.
remembrance,
Yes.
reminded me of this part of me that I was born to do.
Mhm.
It was just like opening the most magnificent gift on
Yeah.
Christmas morning, right?
Mhm.
And so the reason I say that or bring that up is I want you to talk a little bit about intuition
Mm.
and
Yeah.
how we are so intuitive beings, right? We are aligned with the universe, with the stars, with God, but it doesn't matter what your beliefs are. We are aligned and we have
Mhm.
everything we need inside of us. And there's many reasons I'm bringing this up because I think intuitively as women, especially, we have
Mhm.
so much knowledge if we're willing to get quiet and listen to it.
Yes.
But two, I'm also reading a very fascinating book that I'm going to bring up later about fear
Okay.
and intuition.
Mhm. These are big topics.
Yes.
So yes, you're right. Bullseye. Like it's a remembering.
Yeah.
And when I work with clients, I always say to them, like, you actually have all of the answers, right? Okay. I am giving you all of the credit here. You have all of the answers. All I'm here to do is to help you, give you some skills and tools to remove the barriers to those answers. And one of the things that we do is learning to re-access our intuition. So just like your Dharma never goes away, you're born with it, comes into this life with you, it leaves this life with you, probably goes into the next life with you. Same with your intuition. Your intuition is just your connection to your higher self. It comes in here with you, it never leaves you, it's always there. But sometimes, again, for the same reasons that our Dharma gets covered over, and we can't seem to find that, same reasons that our intuition starts to get really, really quiet, right? It's always there. And I bet even people who feel like they don't have great access to their intuition can remember moments in their lives where they just felt pulled towards something. They felt like they knew the answer to something. Whether they followed its direction, who knows, right? Because also we start disregarding it, right? Even if we do hear it. So it can get very quiet and it may be difficult to hear, but also we may hear it and we don't trust it.
Yeah.
And so we don't follow its guidance, which was I guilty of that for so many years of my life. And it got to the point where it was so bad that I was like, I know I'm going to regret not listening to this. And yet I would still not listen to it. Like, right? Like I knew it. I would say it before I did or did not perform the action, right? That I was having an intuitive sense around. And so we really need to reestablish not only our ability to hear that intuition, but to follow its guidance, which are two separate things.
Yeah.
Right?
When you talk about that, one of the things that this was my personal experience, but the more I talk to women about intuition, about just coming home to self, all those things, is this comment. Well, it was just a thought, right? It was just a
Yeah.
thought. Well, but it wasn't somebody else's thought. It was
Right.
your thought. It
Yeah.
was for you for a reason. And
Yeah.
I had to really begin to understand that my thoughts were a part of my intuition.
Yeah.
That nudge, that fear, that um what do I want to say, like that excitement. That is a
Mm-hmm,
part of
mm-hmm,
who
mm-hmm.
I am, and
Yeah.
it's actually not for anybody else, nor does anybody else feel those same things with regards to the
Mm-hmm.
exact same situation.
Right. Yeah. And it can get confusing. I will say that because there's intuition, which you can receive those messages in many different ways. It can sound like a thought, right? It can be just a sensation in your body. It can be a download that you just know. It's
Yeah.
not even a thought, you just know. You can actually see things.
Yeah.
There's lots of different ways that you can get your intuitive downloads. So part of it is learning, like, how do I receive them, right? You probably receive them in many ways, but most people have a primary and a secondary way. Like, mostly I get it this way. Second, I get it this way. Every once in a while, something kind of crazy happens, right? So learning your language,
Mhm.
learning your intuition's language and how to hear it. Now I lost my train of thought. What were you saying before that?
I love it.
Welcome to perimenopause,
Yes.
everyone.
But really just like why we don't hear it and why we don't listen to it and why we don't
Yes.
accept it when it's coming down.
So, okay, so it came back to me. So, yes, you said I have to, I had to understand that it was a thought, right? Yes, but also it's a different kind of thought because our brain will lie to us 7 ways from Sunday all day long. It will never stop lying to us. So, we have to figure out which one of these thoughts is coming from intuition and which one of these is a fear-based thought coming from limiting beliefs,
Yes.
coming from unregulated nervous system, coming from past experience I've had in my life. Like, there's so many things, right, that create the nonstop chatter that occurs in our brains. And that is very different from an intuitive download or an intuitive thought. And so learning to separate those two is really important.
So, okay, so I'm glad you said this. So, one, absolutely 100% agree. And I know what, for me, how I know the difference, but I would love to know, how do you guide your clients to understand the difference between the limiting belief, the belief that belongs to somebody else, the past story, the past experience versus intuition? If they feel things in thought form.
Right. If they feel things in thought form. So I do work with my clients a lot on nervous system regulation. That is
Okay.
part of what we do together. And yoga, unbeknownst to me, when I really started diving in, that's what yoga is. It's a nervous system regulation. The whole thing is nervous system regulation. And in yoga, the whole idea behind that, because it's a mind, body, spirit connection, is that we regulate the nervous system so that we can connect with our higher self and connect with the divine, right? Because we're trying to get to that, enlightened, right? We're trying to get to enlightenment, right? And enlightenment is this disconnection from the ego and connection to higher self and to the divine. So in order to do that, we need to exhaust the body. We need to regulate the nervous system. We need to become aware of the thoughts that are habitually running through our minds and see, like, what is just programming?
Yeah.
What is a thought on a loop versus what is an inspired download, whichever way that download comes into your brain. But if we want to kind of make it really, really simple, there are only two thoughts: love or fear. That's all that exists.
Love
Okay.
it.
Every thought you have comes from love or comes from fear. And intuition
Love.
only ever comes from love.
Oh,
Okay.
that is so powerful. I can't even, that's so good, because definitely limiting beliefs or old stories or past experiences are all fear based, because
Yes.
you either don't want it to happen again, or you're afraid if you put yourself out there again, it won't look the same, right? Or you won't be
Yeah.
as successful, or whatever it is. Or
Yes.
your dad told you to never stand up in public, whatever it is. Those are
Right.
fear based. Whether it
Yes.
feels scary or not, they're fear based, based on
Yes.
the what ifs versus the love.
The love, even
And
setting boundaries, because setting boundaries for women is a big, big topic.
Yeah.
And it can feel harsh. Some women feel like, I can't do that. That's not nice. That's me, right? But where is your boundary coming from? Is your boundary coming from love, or is it coming from fear? And that's how you know whether it's a boundary that needs to be taken or does not need to be taken. Yeah.
Have you ever read Bob Goff's Love Does?
No.
Oh, you need to
Oh,
read that.
okay. I'm going to have to write that down right after this
So,
conversation.
his philosophy is that love does. It's not a word, it's not a thought, it's an action. And love is a verb. It takes action. And
Okay.
I will tell you that there has probably never been something more powerful in my life than those two words.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like that North Star that I talk a lot about as far as our core values, what we come back to in every decision that we make. And when I ask myself, is this something that love would do? Is it do, right? If the answer is yes, then there's no question. It's just, I'm doing it, right?
Yeah.
Because like you said, intuition is love. And if I think back to intuitive thoughts, intuitive downloads, all of them were based out of love.
Yeah.
So when you said that,
absolutely.
I was like, what? That is
right.
so amazing. So I want to go deeper into the whole yoga and the nervous system regulation.
Mm-hmm.
What a lot of people probably don't know about me is 3.5 years ago when we started over here in Montana, I had only done yoga a couple times in my life. And I really just thought of it as a waste of time. I'm not going to lie. Like, this is so boring. Oh my gosh, right? Why am I not sweating harder? All the things, right?
Yes.
And when we moved here, I picked up a beautiful, beautiful book that really got me interested in yoga. And it was, I'm going to draw a blank, but it had to do with the similarities between Buddhism and Christianity. Okay. And then I picked up a different book that had to do with this gentleman's experience moving into yoga, from corporate life into yoga, and what it gave him and what it benefited him. And all of a sudden I got really curious. And so I started practicing every day. I didn't have my treadmill anymore because we were living in a very small space while we built the house. And I just started practicing every day. And then part of that is I also got very curious about energy work. So Reiki.
And
And
I just got certified in Reiki.
I started doing some self-practice through a level 1 certification. And what I will say is that it changed my life.
Yeah.
Being able to get quiet enough to hear my soul, to hear my body, to hear the energy in my body, right? Just to be thankful. I mean, at one point in my practice, I was saying thank you to chronic pain.
Yeah.
Right? Because I was connecting to a part of myself that I had never allowed to talk. I had never allowed to feel. I had never allowed just to be seen.
Yeah.
And so yoga to me is you can be yoga certified and be amazing at yoga, but you can also just practice yoga in a way that's very intuitive to who you are and what you need today.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, 100%. And it is, it's that mind-body connection. Many of us are heads sitting on top of a body, right? That's how we're walking around. It's like a head on a stick. And this true essence of yoga is connecting mind, body, and then spirit, right? So, these three parts of us. The one is, above us and coming down into us when you want to speak energetically, right? The divine, the crown chakra, all that is above us. Then we come down into the head, the mind, and then we come down into the body, and vice versa. Everything goes, flows in both directions. And what yoga does is create that connection, and it allows us to, be that. I actually started my journey into true yoga began with a chronic pain condition. And it was this is not an exaggeration when I say it saved my life. Yoga saved my life.
Yeah.
And I actually believe that all the ancient wisdom traditions teach the same exact things. yoga was my portal.
Yeah.
And it was my portal because it was a language that I understood. It incorporated all three, the mind, body, and spirit. And because I also happened to be very lucky that I had a beautiful community around yoga, which often you're going to find really lovely people in a yoga studio. So that was also helpful. But yes, to learn to be with the thoughts, to be with your body, and to be with those things without judgment.
Without judgment. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Like you may not do the move the same way, and that is okay. One of the most powerful parts of that journey for me is this thought process that I can't do meditation. I can't do meditation. That's what I was telling myself.
Right.
But it was the introduction that your monkey mind is a part of who you are. See it and come back. See it and come back. And that there's no judgment there. That the fact that you can see it and come back is a gift.
It is a gift. And every moment that you see it and come back is a win. That's what I tell my clients, my students, because I teach meditation courses too. I'm like, you should not be frustrated with yourself. You should be applauding yourself. Every time you notice that you have drifted and you come back, you have returned to awareness. You've returned to it. And that's all there ever is awareness of the present moment. That's where it all happens, is in the present moment. We tend to live in the past and in the future. So every time you come back to that awareness of the present moment, you are in alignment with your higher self, with the divine, with the truth of who you are. Like, that is a gift. And our brains are meant to think, right? That's what they do. So let them do it and be the observer. Sometimes I'll be in a meditation, I'll actually chuckle a little bit because I'm like, whoa, like it is wild up there today. The crazy neighbor upstairs took some sort of drugs. I don't know, because she is crazy today, but that's okay. Like, let her do her thing and just keep returning.
You're showing, I feel like you're holding her in a dear embrace when we do that, when we just keep returning to the quiet or the calm. We're showing her that you're safe. It's okay. And you can keep being you, and I'm still going to be sitting here loving you. And I truly believe just like this explosive impact, this explosive change we could create if we only began teaching this as part of Western education. Eastern education gets so much of it, but Western education, I'm just going to stick to where I live, and understanding that not only that you have this Dharma in this very unique place, but that everything that happens inside of you is on purpose. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing right with it. It's just on purpose for you, and to hold ourselves as compassionately and genuinely as we hold others, especially as we get older and become moms. We give. Maybe we become spouses. We give. And we forget to give to ourselves first.
Yes. Yeah.
So I think this is an opening for, you talk a lot about how midlife women and coming back to who you are in midlife. Walk us through, one, why this became your focus, but two, why it's such an epidemic, for lack of a better word.
This women not being knowing themselves. Yeah. So for me, the reason this really started once again out of my own experience. So around 40 years old, I started saying, you know what? Once a year, I'm going to do something that's just for me. And I had never, right? It was take care of the kids, take care of the house, go to work. Like, that's what I did, right? And so I was like, you know what? Once a year, I'm just going to do something for myself. Maybe that's going to be, I'm going to go on a retreat, or I'm going to get a certain certification that I love, or maybe it's just going to be a girls trip. I don't know, And so I started doing that, and it was so freeing. It was like, wow, I exist, right? I exist outside being a mom and being a wife and being a nurse. Like, I exist, and I have preferences, and I have so much more actually to give beyond what I'm already giving.
Yeah.
And so and then I started becoming very aware of the biology, like what's happening inside of us. Because at the same time, I started experiencing changes in my body that, we start to experience at this time. And I've always been very interested in, even prior to everything else, growing up, very interested in nutrition and health and exercise and all those types of things. So I started doing some sleuthing, some investigating, like what's going on in my body, at this phase of my life. And I came to find out that what happens is, as we all know, during midlife, perimenopause into menopause, our estrogen and progesterone start dropping precipitously. And that estrogen hormone is really what it's the like caring hormone. It makes us care about taking care of our children. It makes us care about what other people think of us. It makes us, it drives us to be these caretakers that we are. But as it starts dropping, we're finding it increasingly hard to continue doing that. And I'm sure if there are midlife women out there going through either perimenopause or already hit menopause, you know exactly what I'm talking about. All of a sudden, you can't give two bleeps about what anybody thinks about you, right? Like, I can't do it. Your partner's looking at you like, well, you used to like make dinner every night. Like, well, what's happening? Why are you not doing that anymore? And you're like, sorry, fend for yourself, and you just start, your mind along with your body is changing, right? We focus a lot on the body changes. I'm having hot flashes. I have that weight gain. I feel really tired, but also your mind is really changing at this time. And it can almost feel a little like scary because you're like, what is happening? What, I can't believe those words just came out of my mouth. Oh my God. Right. They just flew out. I couldn't stop them. The rage factor kicks in. And we get to a point where we're like, no more. Like, I will not put myself on the back burner anymore. Yeah. I did it all of these years. I sacrificed to myself and I am done. And I know that feeling so intimately. And I know so many women are going through it. But once you say, I'm done, if you've been solely disconnected from your body, we haven't even talked about your breath, from the thoughts going on in your mind, from your values, from your intuition, right? You may feel like, okay, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. But it's a little confusing as to where to go next, right? And then we can get a little, we feel slighted, right? Because we're like, oh, like I did all this for all of you all of these years. And now look, I don't even know what to do with myself. And it's a very frustrating feeling. And then we can kind of feel like angry, right? That's what we did and went through and no one seems to care. And now we don't know what to do. And so I thought, I need to help these midlife women. They have so much more to give to the world, and it's going to look very different from what they gave the world in the past. And what they gave was beautiful and amazing and wonderful, and the world would fall apart without women doing all that they do in these younger phases of their lives. But this phase looks different, and no one has told you, the culture does not tell you that you're going to not only look different, but feel completely different. And then what to do with all of those feelings. There's just, it's like a cultural drop off. Like once you're no longer a mom, it's like, well, fade into the distance. What did you call it? You called it something perfect. Right before we started.
Keep doing, or what did I say? Shoot, we should have recorded that.
We should have recorded. I said I was going to quote you, and now I can't even remember it. But it was
keep on. I don't even remember. Keep on doing what you were told to always do, or something. I don't know.
Something, you get no, like, hey, ladies, like, you're going to feel like so lost and so confused. And this is a huge transition in your life, equal to or larger than your first adolescence. This is your second adolescence. But everybody talks about the first adolescence.
Yep.
We get educated in school about the first adolescence, right? No one's talking about this second adolescence and how it's impacting us. And without returning home to yourself, without uncovering your dharma, your soul's purpose, without understanding who you are at your essence, and being able to be in touch with your intuition, you can't live into the beauty and splendor and awe of this beautiful stage of life. And that is why I want to help women.
That is breathtaking, because it is such a huge truth bomb, right? Because we don't. I actually looked up my two daughter-in-laws the other day and said, okay, I know you haven't been taught this, and I know no one's talking about it, so I'm just telling you, I was 3 months away from menopause, and now I get to start over again.
That's horrible.
Right? I mean, no one talks about it. I knew my mom was a nurse, and so she talked about things, but she didn't talk about things. Right. Yeah. I know that she went through menopause, perimenopause, actually, but it was all called menopause at that time, in her 30s. And then again, when she was almost 50. So she came out of it and went back. And so that was very unusual. So she told us about that so that we would know for our health history. Right.
Right.
But that was the extent of the conversation.
Yes.
We didn't talk about all the things. And I've been talking to my sister, who's 5 years older than me, and she experiences nothing that I've experienced. Right. Yeah. It's just so crazy. And to embrace it and encompass it as our second adolescence. Mm-hmm. What a beautiful thing. And the reason I'm going to say this is I'm going to go back, because you talk about we're coming into an age of not parenting full time, right? Because we'll always be parents. Right. Yes. But I am a whole different perspective, because I have 2 age groups. And so my youngest is only 6. I'm still in the realm of parenting. And I have 2 teenage daughters and a preteen boy at home still. So
you have a house full.
I'm like, okay, let's do this together. And I'll say, I won't say it here, but like, come on, bitches. Right. Let's do this. Right? Because I'm feeling all the things right along with them. And that anger or that rage or that frustration, and then that joy, and then that I'm so exhausted, and now I have so much energy, all of it. It's just like adolescence again. But as we're sitting here talking, I know that that's part of the gift for me, is because as I have gone through this journey of saying hello to myself again, and whether that it was nothing to do with perimenopause, I wasn't even in perimenopause when I started it, but it was this realization of, who are you outside of this role, right? Because I left that role. So who are you? And are you courageous enough to be seen?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Right? Because as caretakers, we think we're being seen, but we're actually hiding behind the role of taking care of those we love.
Yeah, absolutely.
And asking for, or looking in the mirror and not either recognizing, as you mentioned, or celebrating what you see. And for me, it went a step further. Is this the intentional legacy that you want to leave for your children? Yeah. And the answer was a hard no. Yeah. Which is a complete sentence. Just so you know, guys.
Yes, I agree. 100%. No is a complete sentence. I tell my kids that all the time.
Yes. And so I think that it's interesting, because I've really never considered it a part of that life change and coming back to a second adolescence. So I'm really, my brain's just going, that crazy woman up there, it's going crazy right now. 'Cause I'm thinking, yes, it is so true.
It is. The hormonal shifts we experience, not the same hormonal shifts, but just as dramatic. The remodeling of the brain, again, different remodeling, but just as dramatic. The changes in our bodies, just as dramatic. It is our next becoming.
Oh, I love it. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Recently I was listening to something else, and there was a comment or a quote that said, "You are a co-creator of your reality. And if you don't like the reflection, then it's time to look inward."
Yes. That's beautiful.
Right. Yeah. And I thought, Absolutely,
Yeah.
100%. So when you're coaching, I think one of the hardest things for me, and I'm going to say it's probably the hardest thing for most women, is that initial approach to, I'm doing this for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because one, we've either been taught or structured or created to not be selfish, and we immediately think that that's selfish. And two, we don't know how to have the conversation with the people we love. Like,
Yeah.
I've never done this before, but I am going to do this now. And this
Mm-hmm.
is what I need to do for me. How do you walk people through the investment? And when I say investment, yes, a lot of times it's financial, but also time, the
Yeah.
investment of time
Mm-hmm.
to begin to see that when they do this for themselves and look at that reflection with pride and with joy
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
excitement, that they're actually giving to their family.
Yes. Okay. So I will answer that in 1 second, but I want to back up
Okay.
to one thing you said, which was, I looked in the mirror and I thought, is this the legacy that I want to leave for my children? And the answer was no. That is beautiful and amazing. And I think that it is so important for women to think about that, because we're talking about this cultural drop off, right? Where women are left like, I don't know what to do because the culture didn't tell me what I'm supposed to do at this stage. But you, as a mother, are modeling to
Yeah.
your children every word that comes out of your mouth, every action you take or don't take,
Yes.
every energy you bring into a space is imprinted into your child's brain, into their nervous system, into their belief systems.
Mm.
And so by choosing to do this, by saying like, no, I choose me, and I choose that I want to live in a way that one day when I'm no longer here, I will be so grateful that that's what I chose, right? I don't know if you've ever heard of the book written by Bonnie Ware. It's called The 10 Regrets of the Dying, or the
Yep.
10 something.
Mhm.
I'm messing that up, but yes. And basically she was someone who sat with dying people for years, as I guess she was a death doula. I'm not exactly sure even what she did, but she collected over those years the statements that people would most often say when they were dying. And the number one thing that she heard over and over and over from people on their deathbeds were, I wish I would have learned to live for myself and not live for everyone else.
Yes.
And so that's what you're choosing. And by choosing that, you are giving your children permission to choose the same thing.
Yes.
So amazing to you. Um, so going back to my clients, so a lot of that, it all ties in, right? So I ask them to think about that. I ask them to think about yourself when you are on your deathbed and you are surrounded by your loved ones. What do you want them to be saying about you?
Yeah.
What and in that moment would you feel so regretful that you didn't do if you got to that moment and you hadn't done it?
Yeah.
And what do you want to feel? Because this is really, yes, things will change on the outside, but that's not really what we're after.
Yeah.
What we're really after is the change that occurs on the inside. So, how do you want to feel on the day to day? How do you want to walk through this world? What kind of energy do you want to bring? How do you think a change in your internal world is going to impact your partner, your children, your community, your work? Like, really getting them to drill down and think about how this is going to ripple out if they make these choices, and how it's going to ripple out if they don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. I love that. And I think that, you know, we will go back to that cultural drop off, is that we get so wrapped up in what should be. Did
Mhm.
you what success looks like? I think it's a big
Yes.
one for us here in America. What
Yep.
success looks like, but we never ask, what does it feel like? What
Yes.
does it
Yeah.
feel like? And when we talk about legacy, we immediately think about money,
Mhm.
but our financial legacy is a very small component of our
Yeah.
actual legacy. And we can
Yes.
think about people like Mother Teresa when we talk about that. She didn't have a dime to her name,
Yes.
but she will never be forgotten in this world,
Yeah.
right? And
Hmm.
removing what doesn't, and I'm not saying money is bad. I mean, that's what you don't know about me is that I have a bookkeeping firm. So I know money. but money is good if it's used in a way that fills you,
Yeah.
aligns with your dharma, as you talked about, your purpose.
Yes.
And so when I talk about spending, saving, and earning in our core values, it's because
Hmm.
that money is aligning with
Yes.
who you were born to be in that actual big umbrella
Yeah.
legacy.
Yes. Yes.
So as we wrap up, I always ask, what is a moment in your life where you feel courage has really showed up for you? And you wrote, when I decided to leave my 20-year career as a nurse in pursuit of my own dharma as a spiritual teacher and guide. And I think that's beautifully kind of comes into what I just said is that how did you leave? How did you step forth in fear with the unknown
Mhm.
in a way that our culture says you are successful, you are doing everything the way you're supposed to, and to completely step away from that to do something different? How
Yeah.
do you feel like you were given or you gave yourself that opportunity?
So it took a while.
Mhm.
So it took a while until it didn't. Let's put it that way. So I had felt this pull, this calling. I started the podcast, I started the coaching business, but then I still, there were many things tying me to my job. I made good money.
Yes.
I had a 403B.
Yep.
I I had the role, the title,
Yeah.
and the respect that comes with being a nurse. It's a very
Mhm.
respected profession. I had the identity of being a
Yeah.
nurse. I had all of these things. And for me personally, I think it was the income that was hardest to step away from because I myself have continuously, I'm still working on my own limiting beliefs around money and scarcity when it comes to money. And so that was probably the number one sticking point for me was like, how can I walk away from this money? And I grew up in an immigrant household. My parents were just high school educated. They were blue collar workers. They worked very, very, very hard, many, many hours in order to allow us to have everything that we have. And I was the first person in my family to ever go to college. And so there's this tie of like, I don't
Mhm.
want to disappoint them. I want to show them that I value their sacrifice, right?
Oh, yeah.
Um, and yet I just kept feeling this pull and feeling this pull and becoming increasingly unhappy in my
Mm.
job. And then I was asking for guidance all along. I was like, God, please show me the way. And I use the word God interchangeably, God, divine, source, universe. Okay, you can insert your
Word.
favorite word.
That's
Yes.
all it is.
That's all it is, just a word. Um, and I felt like I was just getting sign after sign after sign, and I was still not listening until one day I just said, okay. I kind of surrendered. And this is a concept of yoga.
Yeah.
Surrender is a very big concept of yoga. And I said, I surrender. Like,
Mm.
I know this is what you want me to do. And I'm going to step forward in faith and release the fear. And I'm going to trust in the unfolding of this process. And I literally, after probably 2 to 3 years of my husband and I kind of going back and forth and talking about this, I just came home from work one day and I said, I'm done. The next time I go in, I'm putting my notice in. And my husband, my poor husband, who's like, like, oh, he's like, oh, okay. But I just knew it and I never looked back.
Yeah.
I never looked back from that. But it's took a tremendous amount of courage and it took that surrender to the belief in something else was meant for me. And I don't know exactly how it's all going to look or how it's all going to unfold, but I know I'm being called. And so I'm going to step forward in faith.
In faith. And I think we need to
Yeah.
underline that because faith is not knowing. It is actually the
Mhm.
unknowing, and you're
Yes.
doing it in spite of. So I
Yes.
love that you talk about that as part of your journey, because we 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 have this grip, this
Mhm.
really, really, really hard grip on
Yeah.
knowing.
Yeah.
And faith is actually taking a step forth in spite of knowing.
Yes. That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And again, that connection to intuition comes in here because we can be so much more courageous
Yeah.
when we are connected to our intuition because we're not we are leaping blind and yet we're not at the same time, right?
Absolutely.
Because we don't know all the steps and how it's all going to unfold, but we have the security of this inner knowing
Yeah.
that allows us to step forward.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, Katie, this conversation has been amazing and we could go on all day long. I know we could, but we're going to wrap this up. So, I'd like for you to share with anyone listening where they can
Mhm.
find you if they are more interested in knowing what you do and how you do it. And
Mhm.
if you have anything getting ready to launch or come out that you would like people to know about.
Okay. So you can find me at katiefarinas.com. So pretty uncomplicated. That's my website. My podcast is actually on my website, but you can also find it on any of the podcast platforms. And that's the Midlife Purpose Project. I have a newsletter that I send out weekly, which you can also sign up for right on my website. And I'm also on Substack. And it's just my name. Again, it's Katie Farinas and in Substack. So you'll get a lot more in-depth blogs there talking a lot about ancient wisdom for modern living. All of my coaching offers are listed on my website. And right now I don't have anything, I'm not doing a program at this
Yeah.
point. Right now I'm just doing the one-on-one coaching.
Perfect. And I will link all of those in show notes, you guys. So if you don't
Yeah.
worry about spelling or anything like that, just go down to the bottom of the show
Yeah.
notes and you can click any of the links to Katie's information. Katie, again, I cannot tell you, it's always one of those interesting things when I started podcasting and the asks. Like intuitively, like if I see somebody or read something that just connects with me, I'm asking them to be on the
Yeah.
podcast, and it has never steered me wrong.
Yes.
Never steered me
Yes.
wrong.
Oh my God. Intuition.
Right? It's like, I'm going to reach out to that person because here's what I know. A lot of people are nervous if they've never been on a
Mhm.
podcast, but a majority of people, I've only had one no. Actually, in all, we've been on for a
Wow.
little over a year, and I've only had one no. I'm not quite ready for that yet, but she actually isn't a no because she still talks about it. She's going to
Okay.
get there. It's
Yeah.
just going to be in her timing. And that has been such a gift to just like reach out. I saw your face. I saw your bio link, your bio statement, and I'm like, I need to know
Yeah.
this woman.
Yes. That's amazing.
So
I know. I always say that one of the best parts of podcasting is all the beautiful souls that I get to meet and sit down
absolutely
and have a beautiful, in-depth conversation with. It's just,
a gift.
I don't know.
It's an
It's
absolute gift.
amazing.
I agree with
Yeah.
you 100%. So
Yeah.
listeners, again, thank you for tuning in. I cannot wait until the next one until you guys get to hear this beautiful gift from Katie. And I hope that you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day.